Hello there folks and welcome back to the F1 2014 Ferrari career mode on the Xbox One. Today is time for the Spanish Grand Prix, the Formula 1 Gran Premio de España Pirelli 2014. Goodness me, you would think I'm a native Spanish speaker, which trust me, I'm really not. It's a high-speed track that is hard on tyres and physically demanding to drive. Cars are prone to understeer and require a perfect setup in order to achieve a quick lap. Now I like Barcelona, I like the Catalonia circuit, and we've been doing well against Alonso. We've beaten him in the last two races, but this is Alonso's home race, so I've got a funny feeling that he's going to be given that extra inch, and he might get that extra millisecond that might help him beat us in today's race. But let's have a quick look at the standings from the last four races, the first four races of the season. As you can see, the top two, Hamilton and Rosberg, it's not really much of a surprise that they are starting to scrap with each other for a title bid. It looks, unless one of those drivers or even both of them crash out quite often, that Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso are not going to get into this championship fight, as I said, unless the tides turn quite significantly. But a good scrap going on between Hamilton and Rosberg. They're changing positions up there quite often. And Daniel Ricciardo is testing them quite often, to be fair. He's doing really well. He won the Bahrain Grand Prix. Finished a close third in China, was second for a long time. Hamilton won that race at a country in China, and Ricciardo won the race at a country in Bahrain. So Hamilton, the first repeat winner at the Chinese Grand Prix. But we're starting to do well now, catching up to Fernando Alonso, getting away from that Williams, Force India and McLaren group of drivers. So we should be safe in at least 6th, but really I want to push on to be a little bit higher than that. But of course, the aim is to beat the Red Bulls, which is something that neither of us could do last time out. We finished in 8th, and I have a fully feeling that Alonso finished down in... we finished in 5th, and Alonso finished down in 8th, I believe. And we're 20 points behind Red Bull, so we need to recover that, really, sooner rather than later. And this track is a good chance to do that. I've just realised that Monaco might not be the best chance to do it, because that's probably one of Red Bull's best tracks on the calendar. But I guess if you qualify on pole in Monaco and just completely, truly training, you've got a fair chance, especially on this game where the AI aren't too experimental with the moves. But anyway, without any further ado, let's go to qualifying at the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia for the 2014 Grand Prix. You really do forget the lack of downforce that these 2014 cars have got compared to the new cars these days. I mean, most of these corners, which in the new cars would be pretty flat, you have to brake quite considerably in, so it feels quite weird that you have to lift off into those corners, and we're way off in this first lap, to be honest. I was racing on this circuit on MotoGP 19 the other day, so probably won't help, because obviously the way a motorbike goes around this circuit and the way a car goes around this circuit is completely different in terms of braking zones and cornering speeds. An F1 car, of course, is a lot more stuck to the ground, hence that massive increase in downforce. But we'll have a quick look at how we are against Gutierrez into this first sector. We were a 10th down last time out, so let's see if that improves by any quarter in this attempt. The first sector, not really too important, I wouldn't say. We're actually just about down on Gutierrez's time. So I do like this circuit, but might take a bit of time to get used to. We've got about 7 minutes left in this session. I think if we just get wired up, we should be okay to get through. I don't think there's any risk of going out in this session. But I guess I'll have to update you if the worst happens. Well, this is really crunch time. I haven't got the pace I expect to have on this circuit by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite a shock, really. But we are fairly close to beating Esteban Gutierrez's time, so I'm banking that this lap is going to be enough, because, I mean, if we come into the pits now and change for the options, yes, we could have one shot at this. But if we don't, which we haven't, we need to beat Gutierrez's time. We're fairly close to it, and we're a little up in all the sectors, and thank goodness for that. We've improved by half a second. Still a second and a half off Sebastian Vettel, but I think that should be good enough to get through to Q2. That was a bit of a close shave. Thank God the times didn't drop all of a sudden. We weren't an unlucky casualty of that session. It was Gutierrez and Maldonado that slipped out. Roman Grosjean just about gets through. We're on about the pace of the two McLarens, which I guess is pretty encouraging, I guess. There's a few runners ahead of us that are on the option tyres. You can guess them. Adrian Sutil, who's done very well, to be honest, to be a second above his teammate. Hulkenberg is on the primes. Again, a fantastic qualifying performance from him. Sergio Perez is second on the option tyre as well. Sutil, Kvyat, John-Eric Verne, and obviously Roman Grosjean to get through to the next session as well. So I would say we'll probably have a pace that's good enough to get to the top 10 once the likes of Sutil, Kvyat, John-Eric Verne go out. That's obviously 3 drivers that are going to be below us, but we do need to up our pace a little bit because, well, we're over a second behind our teammates. Definitely work to do in the second session. So after the first run of times, we are right on the bubble, as you can see. We are, well, 4 tenths above Kevin Magnussen, but it's clear that his teammate can do better. Jenson Button just above us, but I wouldn't say the other fault. Well, Sergio Perez can definitely challenge, actually. But Kvyat, Grosjean, Vernon, Suttle shouldn't be able to challenge. But as you can see, we're not looking too great. Our theoretical personal best is a 23.9. So we can get out there and do a little bit better, it seems. But Daniel Ricciardo leads the field at the moment. Look at the gap between the top four. Ricciardo, Alonso, Hamilton and Rosberg all in it at the moment. And, well, Vettel can't get up to Ricciardo, but it's not exactly in the same sentence as us can't get up to Alonso. Jesus Christ, we are way off the times of Fernando Alonso. So we're going to have to get there again just to make sure we get through to the next session. But all of my times so far have felt, I don't know, a little bit off the pace, a little bit scrappy, and something's not quite right at the moment. So hopefully we can address that in these few laps. As you can see, we're right to get out there straight away. I mean, in Bottas, that's not the best space to be leaving there, is it really? But we've got to get out there now. As you can see, we're down to 12th place. Is it Magnussen who's overtook? Yes, Magnussen who's overtook Jenson Button, and Perez has also overtook us. So we need to get out there. We've only got 2 tenths to gain on Jenson Button, but realistically, we should be looking at about half a second. So let's see if we can do that. Let's really push. Well, time's running out, and this is not looking good. This is our first flying lap after we've come out. We've really pushed, and we're not even going to improve on our personal best to 24.7, way off the pace. About a second off what we're looking at. So we've got another 2 laps in terms of fuel to get where we are, to get where we need to be, sorry. But where we are at the moment is definitely not where we need to be. This is turning into a bit of a disaster. I'm a bit shocked because I thought we'd be good around Spain, but at the moment it's not happening. Going a little bit wide there. Luckily not too wide to hamper us too much. And that's a little bit better. So, signs of improvement. It's this second sector, I think, that we need to improve on. And if we can improve there, we should be through to Q3. So, one-shot qualifying now. This is our last chance. We were closer to our time than we were on the last lap. We're just about level with it. But being level with our own lap time is not going to be good enough. This lap, it's all or nothing on this lap. And we've gone a little bit wide there already. And that is not going to help. And I think that might well be it, folks. As you can see, in the first sector, we are way off, and, well, it's just been scruffy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just not liking this track today. I don't know what it is about this track. We might as well go on lean, see if we can stretch the fuel for another lap, because that lap was definitely not going to get us through. We can definitely get to the line, so I'm just going to keep it in a high gear and hope that we can stretch another lap time out of this. Well, you heard the pit engineer. We're out of fuel. And we were just about doing something. So hopefully these fumes will get us across the line. 1 sector to go. I don't think it's going to happen though. Hasn't stopped yet though. We're still okay. Oh, I feel like it might have gone now. And that entry to the last corner. Yeah. Fuel's gone. Well, we left it too late. We were probably on to get into Q3 there, but it was just too little too late. So, well, we're out in Q2. I was not expecting this. That's a real shock. We just couldn't do it. Couldn't get the lap time, and to make matters even worse, our teammate's P1 at the moment. So, it's the usual suspects, the 2 Toro Rossos, the Lotus and the Sauber, and we joined Sergio Perez on the 6th row of the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. When I came into this weekend, this wasn't really the plan. Starting from 12th, it seems Alonso starts in 5th. Good qualifying from him. Nico Hülkenberg lines up behind him. And we start in 12th. And we've elected to start on the prime tyres. Go for a longer stint in the first stint. Pit on lap 10 and be stronger at the end. But if there's one thing we know that's good, it's our race starts. Lights out, and away we go. We start just behind Sergio Perez and the 2 McLaren cars. Then it's the 2 Williams cars. Hulkenberg, Alonso, the 2 Red Bulls, and then the 2 Mercedes headed by Lewis Hamilton. Not the best start for us. Sergio Perez looking pretty racy into that first corner. We're going to hold a fairly central line and just try and carve through where we can. And that's not too bad, actually. We've gained a few positions. Sergio Perez, not too great at the start there, and we've got up to 10th, so not too bad. And the Mercedes car seems to have dropped back quite significantly. Breaking into this corner, Valtteri Bottas has broke way too early, so we're going to dive into 8th place. Magnussen and Hulkenberg nearly touched twice, and we're going to go 3 abreast into the corner. We touched tyres with Kevin Magnussen, but we just broke late enough to get ahead of those 2, and what a start that is. I knew we were good at our starts, but ultimately we're on the prime tyres, so we're going to struggle to get ahead of Alonso and the 4 cars ahead of him. But we're just going to give Alonso that security he needs in 5th, so he's not going to be challenged from behind. Could be a bit of a boring section, this could, who knows. But we're going to be on the option tyres for the second stint, hopefully quicker. And who knows, something might kick off in this first section. First section. God, I can't speak. Look at the gap already to the top 5. 2 seconds is the gap, and we're going to start holding a bit of a train behind. So let's have a look if anybody else has started on the prime. Certainly nobody in the top 12. Esteban Gutierrez has had a poor start in the Sauber, has started on the primes. But apart from that, everybody else on the options. So good to have a bit of a different strategy. I think that might be where we gain our pace today. We're not the quickest around this circuit, so we need something to give us a little bit of an edge. And who knows, a late safety car, a later safety car, sort of lap 10 or 11, that could definitely help us out, give us a free pit stop. But for this first stint, really, because everybody else around us is on the options, and we know that Hulkenberg at least is quicker than us, it's about really just trying to hold them up and get defensive. So I think, unfortunately, as a result of that, there's not really much we can do to get a top 5 finish. I think this is probably the Ferrari team's worst nightmare. Look at the train we've got behind us. We just don't have any pace. We haven't got the best pace anyway, but on these primes, that I would guess are about a second of a lap slower, if not more. But equally, everybody else has got to run on them later on. So I'm pretty interested to see how we get on our option tyre run. It's usually early race where we have a lot of fights and scraps. So hopefully this second part of the race now will be quite interesting, where we can catch up to our contemporaries, because there's no doubt with the undercut that there could be a lot of drivers that get past Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Massa, Button, etc. And I think that maybe going for the primes might be the best thing to do here, because if we're on the same tyres as them, chances are they'd just pull away in that second stint, whereas we've got something that will give us an edge, that better tyre compound for the second part of the race. And we're halfway into our stint, which means that those guys are more than halfway into their stint. Lap 7 or 8 of the option tyre runners will come into the pits. So fairly soon we will be able to see how they will get on the primes. Just to acknowledge how far we are behind, there is Lewis Hamilton ahead of us. He's a pit stop ahead. The leader of the race is absolutely rampant. Now, we've overtook Ricciardo and Alonso in the pits so far. So Vettel, Rosberg and who else? I'm trying to think now. Vettel and Rosberg, of course. 1 and 2 have still got to pit. We pit next lap. The good thing for us about the front runners and the guys, I suppose, behind, look at that train there. Look at that train just going into turn 1 now. Those are the guys, as I understand it, who have just come into the pits. Now, we've got a free run. We've got a free run for at least these next 2 laps, and probably will do after the pit stop. So we're going to benefit from not being in that traffic, and also having the benefit of the option tyres. Only got one runner, which seems pretty decent. Esteban Gutierrez. I was meant to say distant, not decent. I might have said distance, I don't know. But Esteban Gutierrez, he's quite distant, quite a way back. He's the only other runner that will benefit from the option tyres. So really, it's going to be pushed like hell in that second stint in this race. But we're on the primes at the moment. We've got one more lap on them. So let's see how the pit stop goes. Well, it's good to see confirmation we'll rejoin about where we were before in P7. We were in was it P6 we were in before, or P7? I can't remember. It must have been P6, because just these 5 were the guys above. So on those option tyres, hopefully we can improve. We can also hold up Daniel Ricciardo a little bit on this lap. Daniel Ricciardo 8 seconds behind the leader, Lewis Hamilton. And then it's Rosberg and Alonso. So Rosberg, Vettel and Alonso, sorry. So hopefully we can hold up these few a bit as before we come into the pits. That's the aim. Just nice and slow, hold them up for Fernando to come behind. But, I mean, Ricciardo's not really interested. But we need to watch our own race well. We can't do everything for Fernando, but goodness me, we're outbrake ourselves there. And we now dive into the pits. But I think it's fair to say we've done enough dramatic weaving, etc. to get Alonso a bit of an advantage. But we drop into 5th. And now into 6th behind Fernando Alonso. So we're the only driver who's going to come into the pits. We're late in, but let's see how we get on. So no interruptions in the pits. A 3.7 second stop, which isn't too bad at all. Good to see we haven't been swamped in the pit stops. But where is Kevin Magnussen? Just comes across the line now, and we are behind Magnussen, as well as Sergio Perez. Anybody else coming? We are clear of Daniel Kvyat in 9th. Hulkenberg has lost a lot of ground in those pit stops. Interesting to see. But considering we're on the option tyres now, it should be fairly easy to get past these 2 runners, I would say. I hope so anyway. I think the prime tyres about a second down. I know we were a second down on Fernando's lap times on the prime, which actually isn't too bad if you think about it, because he was on the option, we're on the prime. So as you swap that around, we should certainly be quicker than these runners ahead. So 6th place should definitely be achievable in this race, but I think after we get past Perez and Magnussen, that should really be it. But still, 8 points to take home for the team, and not a fat lot to complain about, considering our pace hasn't been great this weekend. Well, we've got DRS on Sergio Perez, and we will take no time mucking about with this. As you can see, look at the pace difference on the straight. We're going to sail past the Force India, and into 7th we go. And the next target is Kevin Magnussen and the McLaren, and I think it might well be this time next lap, or maybe even before that, but the past Kevin Magnussen. I can't believe how much quicker these option tyres are. As predicted, we are right behind Kevin Magnussen now. We should be able to get him on the DRS, you would think. It's a real shock to see Kevin Magnussen consistently outperforming Jenson Button. It's a real shock to see that. Jenson's just been nowhere this season, whereas Magnussen has fairly regularly been in the points. A little bit of a trickier move this time, but nothing too out of the ordinary. And we take 6th place. If only our pace would have been good this early. Obviously, we're on the better tyre, but it would have been interesting, I guess, to see in an alternate universe how we got on the option tyres in the first stint. But I guess the aim now, because we're not really going to do much, is just a bit of a personal aim to try and cut down that gap between ourselves and Alonso. And who knows, if they're really going for it, perhaps we could get up to 5th place. But I can't see it, but I guess you just never know. In Formula 1, anything happens. And what? Oh, God, I forgot the bloody quote now. I'm going to sound so cool there, wasn't I? What is it? In F1, anything can happen, and it usually does. Good old Murray Walker, eh? It's been a fairly lonely Spanish Grand Prix in the end, to be quite honest, especially this second stint. But the main thing is that we got the most that we could, really. We're never going to challenge that top 5. But in the best of the rest group, in quotation marks, we are the best of the rest. So, not too bad in the end. We raced well. We had an especially good start. Got past Magnussen and Perez in the second section. And it seems like everybody's really started to really push out and gain a gap on each other. As you can see, they're quite spread out, the runners now, whereas it was quite a train early on. But Kevin Magnussen, really, one of the drivers of the season so far, really taking that McLaren to places where you wouldn't expect, particularly beating those 2 Williams cars, who haven't been as good as I've expected them to. Obviously, Williams in real life finished 3rd in the Constructors, so theoretically would be on a par with us, and maybe even Red Bull, but apart from on a few occasions, they just haven't been there at all. So it looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race between us and Red Bull for 2nd in the Constructors, but we need to start clawing back the gap pretty quickly, because Alonso had a great few races at the start. He finished 2nd in Australia, and I think he finished 3rd. Did he finish 3rd in Malaysia? Yeah, he did. But since then, it's not been great from Fernando, to be honest. I've been the leading point scorer, I believe, since then, but this is the first time Fernando has beaten me since that Malaysian Grand Prix, and Monaco will be an interesting race next time out, I think. I don't know if I'll have any pace at Monaco, but at least it's a circuit where qualifying matters, I guess. If you put all your effort and blood, sweat and tears into qualifying and you qualify well, you should be guaranteed a good result, unless you put it into the wall, I suppose. But Lewis Hamilton wins his 2nd consecutive race. That's 3 races out of 5 now for Lewis, and he's really starting to take a hold on this championship. I presume it's Rosberg who finishes in 2nd, the 2 Red Bulls in either order in 3rd and 4th. Alonso finishes 5th, and it'd be us in 5th, Magnussen in 7th, and Sergio Perez in 8th. And we'll wait to see who the last 2 point scorers are. But considering this wasn't our best race, considering we hadn't got much pace, which to be fair, I'm quite surprised about, because this is a circuit I usually quite like, but just didn't happen for us today. But considering it was a circuit that we were poor on pace on, I think we could be pretty proud of a P6 finish. I think we would be on any other day, and certainly would be today. So a good finish, a good Grand Prix, and 8 more points to our championship total. So Daniel Ricciardo beat his teammate. A positive for the first time, we beat our teammate's fastest lap. That's good to see. And Nico Hulkenberg finishes 9th below Perez. So Perez finally getting the measure of his teammate. And Valtteri Bottas gets Williams solitary points in 10th, Massa 11th and Button in 12th. And then really just your usual suspects. So Lewis Hamilton extends his championship gap after the 5th race to 10 points. And then a further 24 points back to Daniel Ricciardo. But it's fairly close still between Ricciardo, Vettel and Alonso. Funnily enough, that was the order that they finished in, the top 6 was. And Kevin Magnussen really doing well with 22 points for McLaren. So Red Bull is starting to get a little bit of a gap on us at the moment. Force India in 4th in the Constructors, not a surprise there. And the way that McLaren are going, in particular that one-man effort from Kevin Magnussen, I wouldn't be surprised if they're ahead of Williams before much time has gone. But the main thing is we've kept the team bosses happy today. Not the best Grand Prix from us, but nonetheless, We got a 6th place finish. That is not too bad at all. And I think we can aim for a little bit more over the next few Grand Prix. Monaco should be exciting for its general uniqueness. And then Canada is a circuit I really like. Austria, Britain, Germany, Hungary, all good circuits. I look forward. I really like this run of the season, especially the post-Monaco run all the way to the summer break. I absolutely love that run. But I hope you guys did enjoy that. Again, not the best of races, I'll be honest there. You're going to get that. You're going to get peaks and troughs in the action. Just inevitable, really, with a series like this. But next up, it's the classic, the Monaco Grand Prix for 2014. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Let's just check if there's any significant emails before we go. Let's see. This is starting to look bad. The team time's looking very bad for us at the moment. Not really a surprise. No rain forecast for Monaco. And as you can see, it's not looking too great for us, is it? I mean, to be fair, in terms of outraced and fastest laps, well, not fastest laps, but outraced and championship points doesn't look too bad. But qualifying is definitely somewhere we need to improve. And maybe that can start at the Principality of Monaco. So if you enjoyed that, make sure to leave a like down below, comment your thoughts as well, and subscribe for regular Formula 1 content at 6 PM on a Tuesday and on a Saturday. And hit that notification button to get a notification every time a video comes out, whether it be Formula 1, a Let's Play, or snooker. Thank you very much for watching. I've been TIJ Gaming. Until the next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye for now.